Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Mexico Relocation Guide live stream. I'm going to try to talk a little bit slower this time. I got that as feedback last time that I talked way too fast. So sorry about that. If you're now just joining us, today you are going to meet Annette. Annette is a wonderful expat who is so graciously giving us her time this Thursday evening. Is going to talk about her experience living in Ajijic, Mexico. Annette is also very involved in her local community, so she has a lot of really great information for you guys who are looking to live lakeside. She's involved with a lot of different charities. She has a business locally. So she's a really great resource for you guys. But before we get started, I want to hear from you. Tell me where you're watching from and maybe what part of Mexico you're interested in. Just go ahead and post that in the comments that you'll see on the side. Let us know where you're watching from. This usually takes a little time because people are joining one at a time.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you.
Bless you. Let's see. We have one. DC. Greetings from, she didn't post where from, or he didn't post where from. Well, hi, DC.
Hi, DC. You get to hear the cohetes in the background.
Yeah, seriously. So for anybody who's just joining, tell us what the cohetes are.
They're fireworks, which often don't have any light. It's just noise. It's like really, really loud fireworks that aren't pretty.
Yeah.
And because I'm right in the plaza, I'm really close to the church, which is where most of the fireworks are set off from. We'll have probably several explosions during this.
That's
Pennsylvania. Oh, DC's from Pennsylvania.
It's the real Mexico.
It is.
Mexico. DC is from Pennsylvania. Hi, DC. Thanks for watching. And we've got Gordon watching us from Key West.
But hey, Gordon. I know Gordon.
Hi to you, DC.
Hey, DC.
Devora is going to be in Ajijic for 2 months.
All right.
Welcome, everybody.
There have been so many new people coming down here recently. I mean, every day I meet someone new on the street that says, "Oh, we just arrived."
Yeah, that's great, isn't it, though?
It is.
Yeah, I feel like it's Ajijic's always been popular, but I feel like more recently it's, because of the internet, just how fast information can spread. It's really gotten up there in like the top places to retire or live. It's not even like retirement anymore. And we're going to talk about that today.
Okay.
Because Annette actually retired early. So she was one of the young people in Ajijic. But before I give you everything away of what we're going to talk to you about today, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Mariana. I run Mexico Relocation Guide, and my purpose with these live streams and Mexico Relocation Guide is to give you guys information and tips on what it's like to live and retire in Mexico. And today, Annette is going to give us some more information on her experience living and retiring in Ajijic, Mexico. In the comments, you will find a link to our Living in Mexico guide for expats. It's completely free. I put a lot of work into this, you guys. It has things like how to get around in Mexico. It has information on safety. It has information on residency visas, how to find the best rentals. It's a very long document, so just make sure you get your copy. It's completely free. So welcome. Let's get started. Annette, I'll turn it over to you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm 52, and my husband and I retired to Ajijic about 2 years ago. We were living in College Station, Texas before then, which is between Houston and Austin. It's a small college town where Texas A&M University is. And my parents lived there too. And I I just stumbled upon a YouTube video about Ajijic. I wasn't looking to retire, wasn't looking to retire overseas, wasn't looking for Mexico. So I don't know why YouTube suggested the video, but it was about Ajijic and it really intrigued me. And so I searched for more videos and websites. And then we came down to visit for 4 days and just fell in love. My husband didn't think that we would ever retire overseas. I thought that would be a cool idea someday, but he didn't. And then when we got here, I took a nap the second day and he went for a walk and discovered a open house, real estate house across the street from our Airbnb. And the real estate agent told him how inexpensive the property taxes were. And he came and woke me up and said, hey, we could retire early if we moved here. It is so cheap. So that was really what got us here, was the low property taxes. Because we were living in a pretty inexpensive real estate market anyways in College Station, Texas. So it's not that the cost per square meter or square foot is that much less here for our tiny town compared to our tiny town, but it was property taxes and just the general cost of living, and also the lifestyle here that really drew us here. We had both traveled a lot internationally for work and pleasure, and so we knew we could adjust to another culture. But once we visited and saw how awesome it was, we knew right away we have to retire early. We don't want to wait until we're 65 or 59 and a half. So we made it happen.
Good for you. Good for you. Now, do you feel like because your cost of living, you crunched the numbers and you saw that your cost of living could be lower, is that what allowed you to retire early, or was that always a plan?
Well, my husband thought we'd retire at 55, or when he was 55, and he was 52 at the time when we came down here. And he realized because of the cost of living, he could retire at 52 instead of 55. So we were already saving aggressively for many years in our 401k to be able to retire early. We just didn't think we would retire this early.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked out really well.
Yeah, seriously. Now, you said you mentioned Ajijic just seemed like the right place when you got there. Did you check out any other areas?
Well, we had visited the Yucatan Peninsula, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, those areas just on vacations in the past. And we really liked it, but we also knew that the weather was very similar to South or Central Texas where we lived. A lot of heat and humidity in those cities, and we didn't want that. We wanted to get away from that. And I had been to Oaxaca before. Mike hadn't, but I liked Oaxaca. And so I knew that Central Mexico had some hidden gems out there. And we read about other cities like San Miguel de Allende, but we just felt that Ajijic sounded like a better match for us. We're pretty casual. We didn't need also the bigger city vibe of San Miguel. We wanted a small town atmosphere where you have horses walking by your front porch all the time, and cohetes going off, and your neighbors, your Mexican neighbors, and the cohetes set off car alarms.
That's the real Mexico, you guys.
It is, and people often underestimate the amount of noise when they move down here. They think that there's some way to make it quiet, like the US or Canada, but it isn't. You just have to accept it. And when you're deciding where to live, don't live near a church if you want it to be quieter. And we really wanted the walkability of being in Central Ajijic. And so we were willing to trade off the noise for the walkability and just being in the middle of everything and having Mexican neighbors. Because we were kind of isolated in College Station. We had to drive to get everywhere. We couldn't walk to the store. I mean, I feel like I'm in the Mexican version of Mayberry living here. So it's really quaint and small town life.
Yeah, I can hear the mariachi in the background.
Yes, one of my neighbors does have a band going right now.
Is this pretty typical? Tell anybody who hasn't been to Ajijic before.
Yes, but 16th de Septiembre, Mexican Independence Day, is coming up. So we've noticed in the last few days that the celebrations are ramping up. And there's definitely a lot of vendors out on the main road selling flags, and there's advertisements for things coming up, activities. None of the big activities because of COVID, but smaller activities for 16th de Septiembre.
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually when things pick up. And then again, it's like Dia de los Muertos in November, and then Christmas, and then New Year's. And so it's normal, to say the least, that there are fireworks.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's for no reason at all, right?
Right. I've heard that people can, like on someone's birthday, they may buy or pay for fireworks to go off just to celebrate a special occasion. So fortunately, right now, they just started a couple hours ago, but there are times of the year when they'll start at 5:30 a.m. and they'll end at 2:30 a.m. So there are definitely noisier times of the year, depending on where you are and when the patron saint of your village is celebrated.
Yeah. How do your dogs do with the noise?
Oh, good question. Normally they're great, but Camila, one of our 5 dogs, just in the last 6 months or so, she's become extra sensitive to the booms. And so she starts to shake him. We'll try to hide and get away from them. And she's a Mexican dog. We adopted her down here.
She was born there.
But she doesn't like it. So I told Mike today, we need to build like a soundproof room in one of our closets so that she can hide out in there and get away from the noise.
Yeah, seriously. So you're a real estate agent in Ajijic. Now did you originally, was that always a plan? Like, were you always looking to find work once you moved to Mexico?
Not really. But I knew that I wanted to be busy and have a purpose and meet a lot of people during my retirement years. And then I got involved with dog rescue down here, and I realized, there's so much to spend money on. There's so many things that I could do if I was able to spend more money on dog rescue. And my husband got tired of not giving away our money for dog rescue. So I said, well, fine, I'll just go join a real estate agency, because I had sold houses a long time ago, back in 1989. It was right before the housing bubble burst in the States. I had sold real estate in Texas and really enjoyed it. And so I thought, I'll do that down here. And I really do enjoy it. There's so many pretty houses. So I get to go out and see them for fun. And it's a way to meet new people. And I spend so much time taking pictures of the houses. I get all sorts of ideas for my house and garden and what things that I'd like to add to it. So I do it part-time. I do dog rescue part-time and then real estate part-time.
So what do you tell people, since you're in the business of, being a consultant to people who might not know the area really well, what is your advice for people who are just moving to Ajijic, might be looking into buying in the future, but maybe want to start out renting out, looking at different areas? What would be your advice for them as to how to avoid some of those noisier areas?
That's a good question. First, I recommend renting first. And I think that's what you recommend in your course also, because especially if you haven't lived overseas in another culture before, you don't know how much culture shock is going to affect you or not. And we had lived in Ethiopia and Haiti and places much weirder than Mexico. So we knew that we could handle it, and we bought right off. But for the average person, I'd say rent first and figure out what part of town you like the best. But if you are trying to decide where to rent or buy, in order to pick a quieter area, if that's important to you, move farther away from the churches. And each village has a church or multiple churches, depending how many barrios are in the village. And then also, don't think that just because you're farther away that you're going to necessarily get more isolated from the noise, because Ajijic's on a hill, and so down here we have, where I am next to the lake, but the sound carries up to the mountainside. So these people up here on the mountainside, they get echoing and
It's
very
amplified.
yeah, it's amplified. Like we're at the bottom of the amphitheater and they're up in the stairs of the amphitheater, and they get the music and the cohetes from my next door neighbor. Not as loud as me, but it's not nearly as quiet as you might think it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So your advice would be like, definitely check out or rent in different areas before you go all into one neighborhood.
Yeah, even if it's just Airbnb for a week in each village. I mean, there's a lot of different villages, different neighborhoods, different gated communities. Gated communities have different personalities. Some of them, everyone gets together and drinks in the evening. Some of them are not that way. So you need to find something that fits your personality.
Now, what would you say are some of the most common things that people, or what would you say are some of the things that most people don't ask you that they should? Are there any tips that you think people should maybe ask their realtors more often?
I think it's important. Well, I like it when people ask me, what do they wish I had known before I moved here? Because I did tons of research. I was on all the Facebook groups. I was trying to make sure I was super prepared because I'm a researcher. That's just my personality. And still, I did not realize dengue fever is as big a deal as it is down here. And the mosquitoes carry it. There's multiple serotypes of it, so that even if you get it once, you can get it again and again and again. I think there's 3 or 4 types. And being next to the lake and being near standing water increases your likelihood of getting it. But there's still just being down here, you're going to have to wear bug spray in order to protect yourself. And it's a pretty serious disease when you do get it. And if you get it multiple times, it gets more serious each time. And there are people that die from it. Last mosquito season, we had several people here in town die from it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is obviously a vaccine that you can get, and
well, that's what you would think, but
yeah.
This is a retirement area, and the vaccine, supposedly, you're not supposed to get the vaccine if you're over 45, and you're supposed to have gotten dengue once before you get the vaccine. So if you're a younger person, and you've gotten it once, then you can get the vaccine, but that doesn't apply to most people down here.
Oh, interesting. So do you mind if we shared? You had a recent experience with this personally, right?
Yeah, last year I got it. I got dengue. So did my dad. So did my parents' nurse. So did our gardener. And I was just completely laid out in bed for 3 weeks. So it was the worst illness I've ever had. And I'm just grateful I didn't have COVID. And I did think it was COVID at first. The symptoms were similar, but it's not anything to mess around with. You really got to wear bug spray. Even if you hate the feel or the smell of bug spray, you got to use bug spray. And we get our yard fumigated every couple of months, and we have mosquito traps over here by my bedroom door, and we have plugins in our bedrooms to kill or just, I don't know, do something to the mosquitoes. And we have fans on us at night, so any mosquitoes might be blown away. We take it seriously now.
Yeah, it's no joke. And I had no idea that you're not supposed to get certain vaccinations for it before a certain age, and you have to have it before. So definitely wear your bug spray. That's the best way you can attack it beforehand. And you mentioned that your elderly dad got it. So you moved to Ajijic with your parents,
right? My parents are in their early 80s, and my mom has the beginnings of dementia, and getting medical care, in-home medical care in Texas was getting too expensive for my dad, and he couldn't do it all by himself. It was exhausting. So after we found a house down here that we liked, we invited them to come down and check it out, and they liked it, especially because Lake Chapala has bass fishing, and my dad's a fisherman. So that was part of what lured them down here, and they've been we live on the same property. It's separated by the pool that's behind me. The main house is behind me. And then on the other side of here is my parents' casita. So we see each other every day, but we still have some privacy.
That's great. I have some questions here for you from a couple of people that are watching us. Let's see. Start off with, what kind of bug repellent do you recommend?
Oh, we have like 6 different kinds. I just buy a different bug repellent every time I go to the store and leave them all over the house. So no matter where I am, I always have bug repellent in easy reach. But
Any specific brand?
no, though I do have several friends that tell me that the ones with DEET are the only ones that really work for them.
Mm-hmm. Those are the only ones that really repel the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But mosquito zappers they have on Amazon really do work also. I should have emptied my mosquito zapper before the interview and showed you all of my dead mosquitoes, but we have to empty it several times a week and it doesn't make the bzz zapping sound. It somehow lures them in with carbon dioxide and sucks them into this basket where they dehydrate. I don't know how it works, but it is making a difference.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, it might be kind of annoying to hear the zzz, zzz, zzz
Yeah.
every now and then.
Zip, zips.
Miguel is asking, he's from Miami. Hi, Miguel. He's asking about gated communities, maintenance fees. What's the average for maintenance fees in gated communities?
They vary a lot, and like from the equivalent of 25 US a month to $250 US a month. So it just depends on which one you go to. So if you look on like COMPLETE they list for each property the HOA fees, so you can sort of compare there. But there's a lot of variability between the services that are provided. Some of them include water, some of them don't. Some of them have pools, some of them have tennis courts, some of them have entertainment areas. I mean, there's a really big variety of gated communities.
Yeah, some of them may include like a gardener or, the common areas, gardens, some may not.
Right. Some of them have infinity pools. Some of them have just a little hot tub. There's so many gated communities here. And I didn't feel the need to move into a gated community because maybe it's because I'm from Texas and I have a lot of Texas friends or Mexican friends before I moved here. I'm not scared of the Mexicans. I didn't feel like I needed to be isolated from them. Or the gated communities anyways are usually at least 50% Mexican because there's so many Mexicans that retire here or have weekend homes here. So if you're looking for a white gated community, you're not going to find it. Everything is mixed together, and the safety level is, I feel, just as safe living here in the village and knowing my neighbors around me rather than being in a gated community where maybe thieves would assume, okay, there's going to be expensive stuff in this community. Let's go sneak into this gated community. So
yeah, it could actually be more of a target. Some people may not realize that it could actually be more of a target if safety is your concern, and that's why you want to go into a gated community.
Right.
Just a heads up. So Tony has a question. He says, with the first year visa, are you free to move around and rent until you find a place you like, or is your visa bound to a region?
Good question.
Yeah, I'm free to answer, or you can answer too.
Go ahead.
So Tony, you just need to let INM know whenever you move. You are not bound to a specific place. INM is the National Institute of Immigration in Mexico. It's just shortened to INM. So those are the people that you need to let know if you move on a temporary visa the first year or at any point during your temporary visa. And a facilitator, if you work with one, can help you or can tell INM for you and facilitate that process for you. So I have a few other questions here. Let's see. We have one from Chris. He says, hi, Chris. Looking for any information on the lakeside area I can get. Well, you're definitely watching the right live stream. Ellen says she read that Lake Chapala is heavily polluted. Tell us, Annette, what do you think?
Well, Harvard University did a study on Lake Chapala a few years ago, specifically looking at how many lake fish from Lake Chapala pregnant women could eat without endangering their babies, their unborn babies. And they determined that they could eat several fish a week. They just had to eat the top feeders, like the tilapia, and not a lot of the bottom feeders. So if you Google Harvard University Lake Chapala study, you can get the details.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, I didn't know that that study was
It's
done.
always a big controversial topic. I mean, in the Facebook groups for down here, you bring up the toxicity of the lake, the pollution of the lake, and people just go crazy on both sides of the issue. But I mean, I trust Harvard, so I'm not scared of the lake. I don't go swimming in the lake, but I'm not scared of toxicity of the lake. And I live 1 block from the lake. I don't smell any problems. I don't smell sewage. I walk by the lake every day. It's a nice lake.
Do you ever take your dogs to the lake?
No, my dogs are mainly tiny dogs, and they don't like to go for walks.
Okay.
And
well, they have enough area there.
Yeah, I have a swimming pool, so if they wanted to get in the water, I would rather them go swimming with me in the pool, and they won't even do that.
Yeah, that way they don't drink the lake water.
Yeah.
I had somebody recently ask me if people normally swim in the lake, and I would love to hear your 2 cents.
Mexicans definitely swim in the lake, though it's more for fishing purposes. They take out nets and they throw them out, and you can see them doing this from the Malecon and catch fish that way. And kids and grandpas and everyone together out there in the lake.
Yep. How readily available is saltwater fish to buy?
Oh, everywhere. This is such a big seafood town, and I am not a seafood eater.
Oh, no.
But my husband loves seafood. So there's almost every restaurant in town has a huge seafood section. I'm mainly chicken and beef when we go out. So yeah, there's lots and lots to choose from. I think my husband's favorite is la pasteña.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love salmon. But I mean, that's not saltwater. That's actually freshwater. But I love salmon. And I know Jalisco is very big on seafood.
They are.
Yeah, very big on seafood. I'm sorry about the noise, guys. It turns out that my neighbor is having somebody blow leaves right now. So I'm very sorry about this noise. It's not common it's not on Annette's side. It's not in Mexico. It's on my end.
Thank goodness I'm not the one at fault here. Hey, but it's making me feel better though, because my laptop just told me that I'm running out of battery. So I have to walk over here to the other side of the pool so I can plug in my laptop while we talk.
No worries.
Okay.
And let's show us a little bit of your house.
Okay. Let's see. This is the master bedroom. You can't really see in there because my husband's in there watching TV right now. But let's see. This is
nice pool.
Backyard. Thanks.
Wow.
We have sort of an outdoor living area, outdoor kitchen over there, dining room.
Beautiful.
Thanks. And then this is our mosquito zapper thing right here.
Okay.
And then back here is the stairs up to the casita. I was sitting in that chair a minute ago, but my parents' casita's over there. Okay. But I'm going to just walk over here to the other side of the...
Is it a 2-story?
No. Well, we only have this one. Let's see. Can you see it up there? One.
Like a little balcony?
That's a casita. Yeah, that was added by the people who owned the house before us. This house is pretty old. And the people before us made that improvement and added the casita. And it's really nice. I have a video on YouTube trying to entice people to come down and stay in it and take dogs up to the States. So if you help the dog rescue, you get to stay in my casita for free.
Oh, okay. Let's let you plug in your laptop because I want to talk more about that. And I definitely want people to know this is a great cause, you guys. And I want more people to know about it. So let's let you plug in your laptop before.
Okay, I'm plugged in now.
Okay. And let's let this man finish his flowing right now.
Or you can ask me your question and you can mute yourself until...
You're totally right. You're absolutely right. I could totally mute myself. So I'm going to pass it on to you. Tell us about this BoneVoyage.
Okay. I used to be a nonprofit director in the U.S. I had orphanages and international adoption programs in Haiti and Ethiopia, and we have 6 adopted kids, and I wanted to do a lot with nonprofits in my retirement years. So when I came down to visit, I volunteered with a different organization each time I came down to visit, just to see where would I fit in, what was available, what were the people like. And I met so many wonderful people. It's a great way to make friends and find people with similar interests, is to volunteer with an organization. But the one that I spend most of my time with, though I volunteer with several different ones, the one I do most of my work with is BoneVoyage, which specializes in taking Mexican street dogs and flying them up to adoptive families in the US and Canada. And in the last 3 years, we've sent about 2,500 dogs up to the US and Canada. And so I spend a lot of time, right now I'm one of the foster care coordinators. I have 2 foster dogs at my home right now. Each day I send emails or messages to people saying, would you like to foster this particular dog? Or say, it's time for them to get another shot. Can I arrange for someone to come vaccinate your foster puppy? Or I do paperwork for import permits. We also have a school bus that's been remodeled to take dogs up to the US. So we send 70 dogs at a time up in the bus to usually Phoenix. And then from Phoenix, they go out to different cities as far away as Calgary, Alberta, and Vancouver, British Columbia. And I really enjoy having something to do. I didn't do dog rescue before I came down here, but it's nice to have a purpose and something to work on. And really, most of my friends are people that I've met through dog rescue, because they have a similar passion, and they're just very selfless, loving people. And I don't know if you were going to ask me about it later, but I made a note and I want to make sure to mention it, is when people ask me, hey, how did you retire early? Because you can't really get access to your 401k until you're older, until you're 59 and a half. And if you take it out early, you have a 10% tax penalty. I wanted to mention, because I wrote it down, my husband's usually the one that talks to people about this, but there's an IRS rule called the 72T rule that does let you take money out early. There's a lot of rules to how you can do it. But if you go to Google or YouTube and type in 72T, you'll come up with tons of information on this IRS rule that lets you get money out of your 401k early without that 10% penalty. Okay, you can unmute yourself.
I'm adding it to the comments so that people can look it up on their time.
Good.
Get money early without penalties. I'm trying to. There we go. Let me make sure that I got it right.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, 72T.
With the space in between, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Do it again.
And sometimes it's a 72 open parentheses, little t, close parentheses. I think it's referring to the part of the IRS code. But anyway, if you type 72T, just even right next to each other, no space in between them, you'll find it.
So how did you find out about this? I
find our financial planner.
Okay.
We had most of our 401k in Fidelity, but my husband also had some other money that he was investing through Northwestern Mutual, and the financial planner assigned to us said, hey, there is a way that you could do this, because we were trying to figure out how to retire early once we fell in love with Ajijic. And we researched it and it worked. And that's how we were able to get money out each month.
This is great information. I didn't even know about the 72T rule. So thank you. I'm going to look it up right now.
You're welcome.
So Tony wants to know if Ajijic is considered a highland when it comes to annual temperature.
It's not sticky and hot like Meridia. I would not have moved here if it was sticky and hot. It's dry and cool, except for maybe May and half of June, and then it's dry and hot. And normally people don't even need an air conditioner down here, though I am sort of a softie. My husband worked in the air conditioning industry for 30 years. So we now have an air conditioner in our bedroom that we run for a couple hours during the hottest months of the year. But it is, I don't know what the proper geological or geographical term is, but we're definitely high up there. We're 5,000 feet. And so because of that, and because of how we're surrounded by mountains, it sort of protects us from extreme weather. protects us from the smog in Guadalajara. We have great air quality, except when the farmers burn their fields in May and June.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's very, very wonderful climate. I
What
leave
about
my
earthquakes?
door open. Huh?
What about earthquakes?
Well, we had some people here felt some trembling from, was it Acapulco or a couple of days ago? There were a couple ones. I did not notice anything. My parents' nurse, she had waves in her pool. So she noticed it because of that. But we are right on the edge of the map for earthquake risk levels. If you ask an insurance agency or agent or an insurance broker down here, they have maps showing you where the risk changes, and we are right where the risk gets lower. Though there's some beautiful houses up on the hills, and I have never lived in the mountains or California or places where they build on the hills. So I would be a little nervous because of what if there was an earthquake, and would the building standards for my house really prevent it from falling down the side of the mountain? But that's okay. I am way down on the flat area right next to the lake.
So you brought your parents with you, and you've mentioned them a few times. What did the rest of your family think when you moved to Mexico?
Well, because our kids were adopted internationally and we've traveled a lot internationally, they didn't think that we were weird. We have, my mom's sister, my aunt, thought we were crazy and un-American for moving to Mexico. And some of our casual acquaintances thought that we would be killed because on the news all you hear is the murders and bad stuff about Mexico. But they were pretty accepting, and we've had almost everyone visit us. Even during COVID, they would come down. Yeah, we specifically bought a big house so that all 6 of our kids could come down at Christmas and Thanksgiving, and they've been very good about visiting.
Go fishing with Grandpa.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. How do they normally get there? Do they take a flight to Guadalajara and then?
Mm-hmm. Yep, they go to Guadalajara, and so we're 35 to 40 minutes from the airport, depending on the traffic for the day, what time of day the flight is. But it's very convenient. And a lot of our relatives are near the Houston International Airport. And so they'll just fly out of there. And it's about 2 hours and 15 minutes flight from there to Guadalajara.
Direct.
Yeah, I can go up there if I have a craving for Papacito's Mexican food and just look at the weekend and come back down here.
For Tex-Mex? That's what you
Tex-Mex, because they don't have Tex-Mex here.
You need to open up a restaurant for all the people moving down there.
That's just what I need, another job.
Yeah, maybe not you. Just point and tell people what they need to do.
I know. I actually love helping people start businesses and helping other Mexicans become financially stable. So I need to find a good cook and then teach them how to cook Tex-Mex, and then the problem will be solved.
Yep. So for some people, they think, they associate Ajijic with only a retirement age group, and they think maybe it's not for them. So, you being like, you retired early, your husband retired early, you guys got there before the typical retirement age. What was your experience finding other people that are younger in that community?
We haven't had any trouble finding people our age to hang out with. I enjoy hanging out with people that are older than me too. And a lot of my friends are older, but I'd say we have at least 20 friends in their 50s that have similar stage of life. Their kids are just out of college, or they didn't have kids, but they retired early. We also have friends who are in their 50s and their 40s and their 30s that telecommute, work down here online because we have faster internet access now than we used to. And so people are just moving here regardless of their age. I think it might be a difficult place if you're in your 20s and you want to meet someone to marry who's an American. You may not have many people to choose from. But other than that, it's a very diverse community. And I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm in a nursing home or anything like that.
Yeah. But it's pretty, it is kind of a quieter town. You mentioned that you also spent some time in San Miguel. So maybe a quieter town than San Miguel de Allende.
Yeah, and actually, I've never been to San Miguel. I want to visit San Miguel. I studied about San Miguel, but just online, not in person.
You just talked about the bigger city vibes, like
yeah,
maybe you knew that, yeah.
And if I was younger, I might miss the nightlife. I've never been much of a nightlife person. In fact, let's see, it's 6:40, and normally I'm in my pajamas by now, but I'm staying dressed for your viewers. And I really am not much for going out to clubs or drinking or symphonies or things like that. So it doesn't bother me that we don't have a lot of nightlife here in town. And when my 20-something kids come down, there's plenty of stuff for them to do. I have a post that I put in my Facebook group, Annette's favorite Ajijic activities. And so there's tons of stuff, going to the goat farm and going kayaking and stuff like that active younger people enjoy. So I try to look for those things so it doesn't seem like an old boring town to my kids. I want my kids and my grandkids to keep on visiting here until I'm 80 or 90. Some people, they always meet in Puerto Vallarta, meet their family there in order to entice their younger relatives down. But I really like it here.
Yeah. Now, when you first arrived and you started checking out Ajijic, there's other towns that are just right next to them, like Jocotepec, San Antonio, Chapala, which is the main town. So would you mind sharing what your perspective is and how those are different?
Well, I speak Spanish, but my husband and my parents don't. I don't speak fluent Spanish. I speak enough to have a basic conversation. So I wouldn't have minded living in a more Mexican town like Jocotepec and Chapala, where knowledge of Spanish is needed for some transactions at the stores. But I really wanted it to be a good experience for everyone in my family. And so Ajijic is the most gringified city down here. And also I wanted to be close to the Lake Chapala Society because I figured that my dad would want to be involved there. And he is. He likes going to the exercise classes in the morning. And pre-COVID, he went to the bridge games there. And I love international food, but I don't like authentic Mexican food, I'm embarrassed to say. So I wanted to be in an area with lots of international restaurants. And so here, right, and being in Ajijic, I can walk to a ton of them. Now, I could still walk to a ton if I was in Riberas or San Antonio, the cities adjoining Ajijic, but we found this house, happened to find it here. So that we decided to buy here. But if it's just like 15 minutes by car to Riberas or 16 minutes to Chapala. So it's all so close to each other. A lot of my friends, they live in San Juan Cosala, which is west of here. Yeah, west. Mm-hmm. And they really enjoy that. There's beautiful mountainside homes, great views if you buy in the Racket Club community, or down in the village. The cost of living is lower than if you were to buy in Ajijic. As you go out east and west, it gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. We're like at the center of the expensive part right now. But all of them give you, I think, a very similar lifestyle, just very friendly people, bright colors, interesting culture, lots of activities, the ability to hang out with people that speak the same language, plus to use your Spanish skills with Mexicans and bilingual people, ease of getting to the airport. They're just all such great cities. It's just, I wanted to be where the restaurants are and where my dad could get to the Lake Chapala Society easily.
Tell us more about the Lake Chapala Society for those people who don't know what it is.
It's like a gringo club. It has beautiful gardens, a restaurant, a video library, a book library, the largest book library, I think, in the Americas, South Americas.
I think in all of Latin America.
Yeah, Latin America. There you go. It has a pottery studio, concerts, a bazillion different kinds of classes. They help you just adjust to life in Mexico, and it's a central meeting area. It's very it's very comforting to have it close by.
Yeah,
and it's so cheap. I forget how much my dad,
like
when
$40 a year or something.
Yeah. And when my dad saw the price, he saw it in pesos, and he thought the pesos was actually American dollars, and he was still willing to pay it.
800 pesos. He was like,
okay.
Yeah, it's like $40. I think it's a great deal. They have events, workshops pretty much every week with different things like how to open up a bank account, how to get things apostilled, how to get things translated. I mean, they're a really good organization, and they're run by both expats and local Mexicans. So definitely check them out. They are a good deal. Now, the events are in person. They're not online.
Yes, but some of the classes are online. Some of the classes went online during COVID and are still online. Like some of the Spanish classes are.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's great. So Tony has a comment here. He says, what scares him about retirement is that he's too young to sit on the porch every day. He still has no idea what to do with himself when he moves to Mexico. Any advice?
For my husband's birthday last year, we went to one of the hot springs in San Juan Cosala, and I took a picture. We went with some other couples, and I took a picture of happy retired men, and then they looked sad, and I took a picture of sad retired men, because that's such an important issue, I think, especially for men, especially men who are very work driven, not knowing how they're going to define themselves once they retire. And I asked for tips from men who have retired well and are excited and enjoying their life, enjoying their retirement, to give advice on how they achieve that. And I should give you a link to that
Yeah, I'd love to
thread, because there are some great ideas. My husband loves retirement. He is not bored at all, and he was a very driven, career-oriented engineer for many years. Luckily, he has a hobby, which is making furniture, and so he has that outlet, something else for him to do and to define himself by. He goes into a garage, which is his workshop, and he builds furniture for himself and our family. But there's golf, there's cards, there's helping kids, helping animals, hiking, biking, pickleball, motorcycle clubs, discussion groups. There's all sorts of health and wellness, mystical, California stuff.
Yeah, the point is if you're bored, it's because you're not putting yourself out there. You definitely
that's right. And if you're single and you're a guy, I mean, you're gonna be chased down by the women, because there's so many single women here that tell me, oh, I wish I could meet a nice guy. So I would in fact, I thought before, for real estate purposes, I should specifically advertise for single men to come down here and buy houses, just so that there's more of a better balance between the two sexes.
There you go, Tony. So there's lots of things to do. Plus, traveling inside of Mexico is very inexpensive. So
yes,
you could visit the beach for a weekend. You can go into another highland area for the weekend. It's very inexpensive to travel inside of Mexico. So
yeah, most of our trips have been less than $100 round trip in airfare for inside of Mexico. And Mexico's huge. Our maps that we see in school are so deceiving. There's all different types of climates, all different types of landscapes. There's a huge Grand Canyon type place called Copper Canyon. There's mountains with snow. I mean, it's really an incredible country.
Yeah, there's so much to do. That's for sure. Kelly, hi, welcome, Kelly. So she's looking forward to getting involved with animal charities there. There you go. Well, you should definitely.
There's a lot to choose from. Yes, there's, I think, at least 6 different animal charities down here that are always recruiting volunteers. So no matter what you like to do, there's definitely a place to plug in.
Paula wants to know if you know anything about Todos Santos and how similar or different it is from Ajijic.
Oh no, I don't know Todos Santos. I'm sorry, Paula.
I don't know much about Todos Santos either, but I know it's very different than Ajijic. For starters, you're on the Pacific side, so you're near the beach, you're on the ocean. It is supposed to be a Mediterranean type of ocean weather where it's not like Merida or Quintana Roo where it's like really, really muggy and hot. It is more like San Diego. It can be kind of chilly sometimes, drier weather. It's actually really good for people with really bad allergies. But it's very different than Ajijic. I will say it's more of like the Baja type of vibe. So Dr. Cat, nice name. Will it be posted? Oh, yes, there's going to be a replay. At the minute that we are done, you can rewind, you can fast forward, you can pause it. So don't worry, you're going to be able to watch it everything from the beginning. Gordon says he is 55 and 44 for reference.
All right, Gordon, I'm looking forward to meeting you and your wife when you come down to visit.
There you go. You already have a friend, Gordon.
Yeah.
Kelly is 49 and 52, retired, and they have an online business. So there you go.
Okay, let me mention about online businesses and internet related stuff. If you have something that really, really needs internet access, like your online business, you can't afford to be out without internet. A lot of people down here will get 2 internet services because they're so cheap down here anyway. So you can get 2 different fiber optic companies to serve your home, so you have a backup just in case, and it'll probably still cost less than you're paying for in the US or Canada.
Great point. Are there 2 companies that you recommend?
I have iLox, and I don't have a backup because I have Telcel, which is my cell phone carrier, and usually that's enough of a backup for me. But iLox is the one that I use. I know other people that use Telmex, which has fiber optics. I have others that use Total Play fiber optic, Wiz fiber optic. There's several to choose from.
Yeah. So these are all inside of the online guide, but I'm going to post them on here for you guys so that you can research what their costs are. I have all of that in the online guide. If anybody's interested in the online guide, I'll post a link to it directly.
And not all of those vendors service all communities. And if you're in a gated community, some of those are more restrictive on what internet options you have, because the gated communities often have the utility wires running underneath the ground, rather than here in the village where we have the poles everywhere and wires, spaghetti wires everywhere, that the internet also is carried on. So when you're looking for a rental place or a place to buy, make sure to talk to the neighbors or the agent that's helping you to find out what vendors service your gated community or your street for internet access.
Yeah, definitely. Building by Builder Sip. Sorry, I know that's just your screen name, but he says he bought in a gated community in Rosarito Beach, and he's Mexican, but most of his neighbors are white. So yeah, there you go. Very mixed communities and gated communities for sure. Chris wants to know if there's a lot of holistic healers in Ajijic.
Oh, yes. Yeah. In Ajijic, there is. You know, I'm a Texas girl. I have never spent a lot of time on the West Coast of the U.S., and there are tons of West Coast people that are into holistic health, energy healing, mediums. I mean, all sorts of stuff I had never heard of before moving to Mexico. There's a lot of ex-hippies here too. I just met this afternoon with this woman that was telling me how she spent her I don't know, early 20s in San Francisco when everyone was taking LSD and how
Back in the
so
day.
easy to find those people. There's a lot of those people down here. And I don't know if that coincides with holistic healers, but there's a lot of holistic healers that advertise on the Facebook groups down here. So I know they exist.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a vague term. So maybe if you're looking for something specifically, Chris, you can ask. Let's see. So Tony, looks like you've got a message on here. He's also retiring somewhat young at 53, and he'll be moving to his home in Baja. But the way he sees it, he'll definitely continue to travel and develop many properties in Mexico. So there you go. That could be a hobby if you're into flipping homes.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that have homes in multiple cities in Mexico, and they just rent them out when they're not there.
Yeah, that could be a side business for sure. Would you mind talking to us, since you have a business in Mexico, you are a real estate agent, and the US taxes your worldwide income? Would you mind just sharing, you don't have to go into the details of it, but just how you go about that, and how you go about making sure that you're not double taxed on your income in Mexico?
Okay. I'm actually probably a bad person to ask about this because I don't follow. Actually, I'm just.
Well, do you pay
taxes?
Mexico
taxes me.
Or do you pay taxes in the U.S.?
I know I pay taxes in Mexico on my income here, but I don't think I've told the U.S. that I've gotten income in Mexico. So maybe I should. I've just been here 2 years. please give me a year to figure this out still.
Yeah, don't worry. We won't tell anybody. Yeah.
Okay, just between the two of us and everyone.
What about safety, Annette? Would you mind sharing? Because I do have one question that got emailed to me who wasn't able to join today, and she wants to know just general safety in Ajijic.
Well, my perspective is different from someone coming from a big city in the U.S. and Canada, because if I lived in Houston, Texas, I would feel so much safer here in comparison. But I came from a small Texas town, College Station, where there was a very low crime rate, where I had not locked the door of my house in 12 years. And so down here, I do lock the door of my compound because it's not really just a house. People don't just have houses here. They have a wall around their house. And so the door in my wall that leads to my house, I always keep locked. And I have some people that they have little doors that they open to see who's out there rather than a people. And they say, oh, I never want to leave that open so that people can see. And they just worry about displaying wealth. And so I think that it is smart to not flaunt your wealth. Don't wear expensive jewelry down here. I'm a really low-key person. I wear my wedding ring and that's about it. So I don't feel unsafe. I choose to not walk around alone at night. But I have lots of people that come to visit me that say, oh, it's okay. We want to walk around at night, and they're fine. But when I was gone on vacation a few months ago, I heard that a woman got mugged outside my house. And so I was very distressed by that. And we then installed security cameras and lights 24 hours a day on the street outside of our house to help prevent that from happening again. So you really don't hear too much about crime against gringos here, but there is crime. There is cartel violence that you hear about in the news. I've never seen it. I do see the Federal National Guard guys driving around in trucks with machine gun looking things in the back of the truck, and the police have their face covered. You can just see their eyes like they're wearing burqas or something. And so I just know that the crime exists, but I don't feel touched by it. But I think it's important for people to investigate that and not to say, oh, we're living in la la land and everything's perfect and you don't have to be careful, because I think people still do need to be careful. You don't want to piss off Mexican workmen or people or make enemies here. Everyone has huge families, huge networks. I would never burn bridges like that. I want to live in peace with all of my Mexican neighbors. I don't want to give them any reason wish ill for me. So I feel very safe, but I don't want to say it's perfect.
Yeah, yeah. And I totally understand where you're coming from. What you're trying to say is like, don't, you're not trying to give the advice that it's like perfect, but you've also not experienced yourself something that made you feel like you were no longer safe in your own home.
Right. Now, I wouldn't expect the level, I wouldn't expect justice. I wouldn't, if I was robbed, I would not expect it to be returned. I would not expect the criminal to go to jail.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, there's a lot of corruption in the police and criminal justice system, and you can buy your way out of things, and it's who you know. And so I've accepted that trade-off, that disadvantage of living here. But it's not enough to offset all of the super duper wonderful things about living here.
Yeah. Yeah. Ellen, I can definitely compare Ajijic to Boquete. I don't know if you've been to Boquete, Annette.
No.
It's in Panama. I can tell you a little bit more about how they're different. So Ajijic is definitely bigger. It's Boquete, in my opinion, is smaller. And what I mean smaller, I don't mean just like the area. I mean like the actual community. A lot of everything in Boquete is concentrated on the main strip. And then there are some businesses here and there in the little neighborhoods. But Ajijic truly is very spread out, and there's businesses everywhere, not just only in like the Malecon area, but everywhere throughout Ajijic. And then Ajijic also has these neighboring towns that are still considered lakeside, which is like we mentioned earlier, Chapala, Jocotepec, you mentioned San Juan Cosala, San Antonio. So there's various other little towns that are connected to it. Kind of like if you were thinking of Boquete and Bajo Boquete. Bajo Boquete is like another part of Boquete, but it's neighboring. So I don't know if that gives you a good idea. Also, very different in Ajijic and Boquete is the weather. Like even though Ajijic is considered springtime weather, it is drier, much drier. Boquete is way more humid. And I'm not saying that it's like muggy or anything like that, but it definitely has a higher concentration of humidity. So anyway, hope that gives you some understanding as to, and let me know in the comments if that doesn't answer your questions. And Kelly actually chimed in. She says that Boquete is much more humid. She was just there a few weeks ago, so she can give you a better, maybe you guys can chat with each other. Kelly's actually going to be in Ajijic very soon, so she can give you a better report now that she's been to both. So she, let's see, we have another one. Thank you, Tony, for watching. Thank you so much. I like hanging out with older friends. They make me feel young. That's a good strategy. That's a good strategy.
There are so many older people here that still act like they're in their 20s, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, age is a mental thing for sure.
Right.
For sure. Well, we're topping the hour here. I definitely want to give you guys a chance to ask Annette any of your questions. I asked Annette to be available for an hour, and I definitely don't want to take advantage of her. If you're interested in hiring Annette as your realtor, she is one of our top recommended realtors in Ajijic, and she focuses on sales. So if you're interested in buying a home in Ajijic, let me know. She is part of our Move to Mexico Relocation Course. I can give you access to that. There is a cost, but she is one of our recommended realtors for sales in Ajijic. Boquete is lovely, but windy. Yeah, some parts of Boquete are definitely very windy. And now I'm going to turn it over to Annette and just let her tell you any final tips that maybe, you know, if you could have like, just if you could talk to yourself 2 years ago and say, oh, you should have known this before you moved to Mexico.
But I already gave you that answer. That was my
that was like what your customers ask you?
Yeah, that was the dengue fever. I wish I had known dengue fever was a nasty bug.
Okay, so dengue fever. What about your parents? Were there any surprises for them?
Oh, they really liked it here. It's the slower pace of everything, like the slower pace of how long it takes things to happen at the bank has been frustrating for my dad. My dad's an engineer, retired engineer also, and likes things on time, and that doesn't happen in Mexico a lot. And so sometimes he gets frustrated, though he doesn't feel comfortable driving the car anymore. He's 83 or 84 now. And we got him a golf cart. And so now he does feel comfortable using the golf cart going around. And he likes to go to the butcher up the street, and a couple of restaurants that are close by, the Guadalajara pharmacy he can go to. The best thing for them has been being able to get full-time help for my mom, since she has the beginnings of dementia. And so we have a nurse that gets about $5 an hour, and she works 40 hours a week. And then we have her sister that comes in on the weekends, and they not only do they do nursing care, but they also cook and clean for my parents.
Oh,
and
wow.
So my parents really don't have to do anything that they don't want to do. It's made life really easy for me and my husband, because we don't have to even take them to doctor's appointments. I mean, or go get their prescriptions refilled, or refill all their little pill bottles or pill sorter thingies. And people down here just seem to be more compassionate towards the elderly, more respectful, compassionate, supportive. Their nurse is like a member of the family now, and her kids come over, and her kids are sort of like my parents' Mexican grandchildren. And my dad likes to send them on shopping trips so they can go do nice stuff for themselves. And it's a very positive relationship. And this is a long-term gringo community here. So it's not like we've all of a sudden come in and taken over the city. It's been a very symbiotic relationship between gringos and Mexicans for 50 plus years. And so we're very, very grateful for our wonderful Mexican staff that come to help us exercise, cook, clean, take care of my parents, drive us places. Even though we have a car, we have a driver when we go into Guadalajara. I mean, we have a gardener from 8:30 to 2:30, 5 days a week. He has a helper. It's just, and we can provide these jobs and get to know these wonderful Mexican people that become like family to us. So I really love that about here. And some of my friends who have maids, most of my friends have maids, but when their maids come, they leave the house. I think it's because maybe they feel guilty that their maid's cleaning, and they don't want to sit there and watch her.
Yeah.
But I don't mind. I love being around our household help. They're just great people, and I never thought I would be able to have a housekeeper and a gardener and a cook, and I can do it down here for less than it would cost, so much less than it would cost in the United States.
Yeah, you really get to have a better life.
Yeah, a great quality of life on much less money, as well as feeling like we're helping people and having a lot to do, eating tons of good food, getting exercise because I walk everywhere, being able to be outside all the time, leave our doors open all the time, just indoor, outdoor living. I really feel like I hit the jackpot in being able to retire here.
That's awesome. Well, it obviously helps that you have such an open mind and such an open personality. I can tell, so that obviously helps a lot to be able to embrace where you're at. Yeah.
And there are people that come down here and don't have open minds, and maybe are very regimented, and want to make Mexico into the United States and can't adjust to the culture change, and they don't do here, and they move back. And so that's another reason why you should definitely rent first.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to sink a bunch of money into real estate, and when you're just going to sell it in a couple of years or 6 months when you decide you don't like it. Don't waste your money.
Yeah, definitely. It's much easier to get out of a rental than it is to sell a house.
Yeah, and most real estate agents down here ask for a 7% commission. So in Canada, it's normally 5%. In the US, it's usually 6%. So it's even a little higher here. So don't put yourself in that situation. Make sure you like it here before you buy something.
Great advice. Great, great, great advice. You definitely want to work with the right realtors when you're buying a house in Mexico, somebody who knows the process, knows the area, and is going to do what's right for you. So Annette can definitely be that person for you.
Thanks.
Well, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you so much, Annette, for doing this again.
Welcome. My pleasure. Thanks for contacting me, and I'm happy to help.
Yeah, and I'll see you soon in November.
Okay, see ya.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.